So the title of our presentation is The Worst Part About Traffic, How One Delay Can Ruin Everyone's Day. And essentially what we're analyzing here is the effect of traffic spillover from interconnecting highways and its psychological toll. And it's by Robbie, Karthik, Michelle, Brick, Jordan, James. That part was not necessary. All right. So for our hypothesis. So essentially when we looked at this problem, we hypothesized that a traffic jam does not only cause delay, it also has a psychological toll on the mental state of people's mindsets. And this influence is spread wherever the traffic jam is spread. And we also hypothesized that this negative disposition will go between the car masses of, let's say, one interconnecting highway with another. Essentially, this will create a giant negative disposition in a very bad atmosphere for people coming back to work and going towards work in the morning. And throughout our presentation, we will be exploring the psychological factors and as well as the dispersion of the traffic jam from highway to highway.
Okay, so some of the psychological aspects, I read up on a couple of studies done by the University of California, Irvine, and a couple other professors. I'm not going to even try to pronounce their last names. They're from the Ukraine. And they just kind of talk about some of the psychological impacts and also how the fact that being in traffic can also physically affect you, both in the literal physical, as in giving you leads to a high increase of asthma, and also socially in the fact that you actually do in fact have worse interpersonal relationships between other people.
For the traffic data, we took it like the other groups from CP24 because theirs was definitely the best in terms of pure total data, and it was sampled every 5 minutes for a period of time, ranging for about a week.
So this is what we did in order to solve our problem. So first we gathered our data from CP24 from the website we were given so that we had our information. Second, we analyzed the data along with previous research that had already been done, so we knew what we were dealing with so we could make informed decisions. And then third, we identified the presence and severity of the spillover effect. So we identified the connections between, the correlation between congested roads and how they impact the mind. And four, we determined methods of improving Toronto's road system to ensure reduced congestion and therefore stress.
Whoops. Wait.
So the psychological comparison. The average maximum tolerance time in a traffic jam is 35.97 minutes for women and 31 minutes for men. So and 51.63. That's over half the people choose survey choose affected emotionally, and as the main result of congestion, and 42% chose being late as the main result. And people under a traffic jam becomes pessimistic and anxious, which can indirectly cause some symptoms, maybe sore legs and arms, or headache, or red eyes, or stiff joints.
Okay, and also when there is traffic, there's also car noise and car pollution because of all the exhaust and car horns and obviously things like that. And that can lead to a whole bunch of other conditions that may not be quite as apparent, such as it actually does lead to a decrease in work quality. It leads to an increase of cholesterol due to the stress and surrounding environment, because a car horn isn't exactly the most soothing sound. It can also lead to depression, lack of REM sleep, and for those that don't know, REM sleep is your deepest form of sleep. It's when you get your most restful sleep. REM stands for rapid eye movement, because your eyes are actually moving around while the eyelids are closed. So you get less restful sleep, less interpersonal relationships, and asthma, as I said, and also immune dysregulation. Your immune system actually goes haywire and either just swells up or just gets really, really small, and you can get sick very, very easily.
How do you correctly respond when in congestion? First of all, you need to understand that nothing could be changed when you're in congestion. No miracles will happen. And second, you need to relax, listen to music, think about positive things, and chat with people around if you can. And pleasant smells will also get rid of the anxiety. So spray some light perfume on the car, in the car if you can. Yeah.
Okay, so the test I previously mentioned was done at University of California, Irvine in 1978. So yes, a little bit dated, but I still thought some of the observations were applicable to today's standards. And what the test did is it took 100 volunteers, and I've got the exact statistics between men and women if you're really curious. But these 100 volunteers ranged from low impedance, medium impedance, and high impedance in terms of how much traffic they're going to encounter on a day-to-day basis. And this chart right here is taken from this test, and this is the one of their current mood. And this mood was rated on a 5-point scale from 1 to 5, 5 being very high, 1 being very low in terms of whether you're tense, irritable, nervous, or impatient. And these numbers are steadily increasing between low, medium, and high impedance, with the means being 3.8, 3.9, 4.4, and about 4.5 for high impedance in terms of how tense you are, with a standard deviation ranging between 0.5 and 0.7 from that number. And so this test just basically showed that no matter what kind of traffic you're in, if you're in some sort of impedance, you are going to be in a higher stress situation. Blood pressure is going to rise. You are going to get less done because before you even get to work, you're already emotionally drained, psychologically stressed. You're not really focused on what you're doing. You just want to sit down and take a breather. So it all takes out of your work quality.
So one highway that we decided to look at when analyzing to see if there was a major spillover effect was the 401 and the 410, which you can see here, they intersect. So as you can see, these combinations of highways will take you to the northwest of Toronto. So in the morning, it's mostly going to be used by people going into the city, going to work or school or whatever they're doing in Toronto, and coming from places like Brampton. And in the evening, you'll have a lot more people going out. So that's what we definitely saw when we looked at the data. So here we're just looking at the westbound and northbound parts of the highway, which, as mentioned earlier, will be mostly used in the late of the day, when people are leaving the city, going back to their homes. So what we saw was that not only did we see that the 401 was much busier than the 410, but we also saw that they peaked it around the same time, midway through the afternoon. However, what you can see is also that the 410, its peak point when there was the most delay on it, was slightly after the 401 also had a large peak. Going back to our hypothesis, we thought that this might be because there was spillover, that all the traffic on the 401, some of those people then went on the 410 and caused traffic there as well. When we analyzed the data, we definitely saw that this was the case. There was an overlapping of the peaks around 70 minutes in. So by the time that people had taken the time to go through the 401 and its lengthy, with that lengthy commute, they would then get on the 410 and there would be a jam there as well.
So the second study we did was the connection between Highway 401 and Highway 404. So 404 is the Don Valley Parkway, and this is the major highway that leads you directly into downtown where everyone works. So everyone's basically taking the 404 southbound in the morning rush hour and taking it northbound in the evening rush hour. And meanwhile, people from Scarborough like to take the 401 to the 404 and then come down, while everyone else in the West End likes to do that. So most of the population that works in downtown, they live in the suburban area, so they need to find a way to commute to downtown. So that's how they do it. People from the east take the 401 westbound and then take the 404 and vice versa. So these two graphs show the correlation between Highway 401 and Highway 404 taken on July 26th. So as you can see, the peaks here are similar to the peaks over here.
Now I'm going to talk about how two-way highways affect each other in psychological way and congestion way. So when I was searching this, I made some analysis and I came to the conclusion that they affect each other in mostly bad ways, because when people see on one side an accident and on the the drivers start to slow down to look at the accident. So they are increasing the traffic jam without even trying. The traffic jam on one side may cause stress and other bad emotions on the other road, because they are seeing the traffic jam and getting depressed or something like that. Overall, it is bad for system and drivers and can induce congestion where there should be none. And now I'm going to do some data analysis from CB24 Toronto data. First, I want to talk about the 401 eastbound highway 410 to highway 404 on July 30th. This is the data of correlation, and we should first look at the peaks. We can see 3 peaks, and the one we should look at is the middle one. Also, this is a graph of delay. So the higher the graph gets, that means the more delay there is. This peak is important because the peak shows the delay happening at the same time of both graphs. This is from 410 to 404, and this is the 404 to 410 road. So in this peak, the delay is really big because of the delays are happening at the same time. The addition of this one and this one. So that when the delay starts on this one, the traffic jam, there's a delay starting on this one too. And this is a graph of 401 eastbound highway 410 to highway 404. This is 410 to 404, and this is 404 to 410. In this graph again, this is happening in July 29th, and the peak we should look at is this one, because again the delays are happening at the same time.
Is that the cross correlation graph?
Yeah, this is the cross correlation graph of these two graphs. So this peak is showing the addition of this one and this one probably. When there's the delay starting in this one, the delay starts here too. So there's a peak right here.
And now we come to our analysis. So what we essentially boiled it down to is that traffic congestion generates a stressed mindset, as we can all possibly tell from personal experiences. When we've been stuck in a traffic jam for over an hour, you sort of feel the physical and the mental effects. And this poor mental state affects people's emotions towards their surroundings. So for example, when employees finally get out of the traffic jam and show up at their workplace, they have a very stressed mindset, they're irritable, and then they don't cooperate well with each other, as James has pointed out. And also, we have confirmed that a negative disposition is carried over when congestion spreads out to other roads. So between interconnecting highways, when a traffic jam moves from one road to another, it also carries that negative disposition with them. And this increases the stress atmosphere everywhere. And what we essentially boiled this down to is that our solution must target the effects, must target how to limit the spillover effects of one traffic jam to other interconnecting highways.
So we came up with 3 main solutions to how we would fix this big problem. Obviously, we know that our solution wouldn't be perfect and that we're not going to completely eliminate congestion in Toronto, but what we need to do is to try to remove how congestion can spread and to ensure that even if there is an accident somewhere which causes a traffic jam there, that doesn't mean there's a traffic jam on all the roads connecting or on the road in the opposite direction. One way we would definitely try to do is to make our system a lot more adaptive, able to react better when there is accident or if there is construction on a road. One way we could do this is by having lanes that could switch directions if need be. These are already in place in some streets, and by doing so, it allows the traffic system to react. If there is an accident on one side, another lane can be opened up to ensure that free flow can continue. Another way we would try to do this is by creating multiple routes to every destination, both in terms of highways and by using public transit. This would mean that if there is an accident in one place, and which threatens to create a traffic jam that could spill over into other places, the people who might travel on a road that might become congestion could take in another route that wouldn't risk congestion, so that the entire system remains easy to use and free-flowing. The last way we would do this would to create a more prominent barrier between the two sides of the highway. Not only would this be good for if a collision occurred, because there's no way to cross the barrier or anything, but it would also reduce both the psychological effects and the spillover effects. As has been mentioned, and we know that if there's an accident on one side of the road, the people on the other side of the road will slow down because they want to see what's going on. But if there was a barrier, they wouldn't know that there would be an accident, so they would just continue free-flowing. There would be no artificial congestion. It would also reduce the psychological impact of the congestion, because I know that when I've been in a car and I've been stuck in a traffic jam, seeing all the cars going in the opposite direction when there's so much space between them has not been a very fun experience. So it would reduce the psychological impact, if only slightly, as well.
Okay, if the video will play, this was just something I thought was kind of funny. In America, there is a gas station called 76 Gas, and for a while now they've been running this ad campaign about how they're on the driver's side. So they'll do a whole bunch of these ads about their kind of services they'll offer to you. And it doesn't look like this video is going to play, but this one is essentially about honkaholism. If you've ever been in New York City or in like really major city, someone will honk and it turns to this whole like honking war, honk fest kind of thing. And so they came up with like this little button that makes a little squeaky noise that you honk instead. So you get out your like frustration, anger, but you don't actually make a lot of noise. And I mean, it's silly and it's a little bit ridiculous. But I mean, just things like that. And yes, it is an actual product. It isn't just an ad. They have sold them. A bunch of people in the States have bought them. And among that, they've also got another one of my personal favorites is like they've got a soothing sounds app. So if like something's really stressful, like you get into an accident, just pull it out. There's like a unicorn running through, and there's like some waterfall or whatever. I mean, it's ridiculous, but you know, it's whatever helps reduce traffic congestion. You know, sometimes it just takes those little stupid measures to just calm down your emotions. Sources. Thank you.
That from the website, that you want an actual website?
If you can, but
how long is it?
It's 30 seconds. Also, if there's sound.
Are there any questions while being closed? Yes?
When we did this project, you're supposed to be like, one group was doing two things. Your first thing was like the psychological effect. What was the second thing?
Well, our initial setup was actually, they were doing how a road going northbound might affect the same road going southbound and how one collision could affect both sides. But they decided to explore more and also look at the psychological impact, because that was something interesting that they found and they thought they could add more to the presentation. We were the ones who were doing how one connecting road could like have traffic spill over. Any more? Yes?
So James and Jordan, you guys mentioned a number of psychological coping mechanisms for dealing with stress of being in a traffic jam. Have you or your group given much thought into how you can alter those dynamically depending on the state of traffic in the city, such as say having a radio station change what they play depending on how much there's congestion?
I mean, sure, that'd be a good idea. Only problem is that would, since a radio station has a network spread out and it can extend beyond just a traffic area, it'd be rather selfish for just one little area to get the entire station changed to be like something soothing when it's like a heavy metal station or whatever, and everyone else is just a little bit angry. So it'd just be easier to change the station. Search. Here, I can search. Which one is it? I can search for it.
Any other questions? Yes?
No, don't ask me more.
All right, okay, so we'll just wait for the video.
Shoot, don't go there. Bad, bad. Stop it, stop it.
Is your honking out of control? You might be showing signs of honkaholism. Now you can put an end to all the beeping honking with the 76 honk suppressor, the perfectly safe honking alternative designed to wean even the most beeping honkers off of their beeping honking. Order yours free at stophonkaholism.com. 76, we're on the driver's side.
Okay, thank you.